on your back like you're clapping.
You don't touch me.
Don't go away from me at all. You'll get right to the ground.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
A Metro officer pushed to the ground trying to handcuff a street food vendor at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. The officer then pulled his taser.
That body camera video you just saw is getting plenty of attention online. Metro police tell Fox 5 the vendor was arrested, but they did not explain the charges.
It all happened yesterday, and Kim Passoff is live there tonight with why so many street vendors are in limbo with the law right now. Kim.
Yeah, so street food vendors in Clark County are not legally permitted to operate, but as you can see tonight out here at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, that is not stopping them. They are also not allowed on the Strip or almost anywhere else in the county. A new law meant to change that and give vendors a way to legally operate has not yet gone into effect.
I'm going to put you right in the handcuffs if you don't listen.
A Metro officer reports he informed this street food vendor it was illegal to operate here the day prior to this encounter.
Give me your license, not business, driver's license.
When the vendor shoves the officer to the ground, he pulls out his taser.
You want to get on the ground now. Get on the ground now.
The video shared by Metro ends as the vendor walks back to his cart and the officer requests backup.
We don't want to see any form of confrontation with law enforcement and any other member of the community.
Make the Road Nevada, a nonprofit advocating for immigrant communities, helped get Senate Bill 92 signed into law.
These barriers around street food vending is what inspired Make the Road Nevada to work with local authorities to ensure that there is a process for street food vendors to become legitimized small businesses.
The new law passed this legislative session will require jurisdictions to come out with a permitting process for street food vendors, a path to legally operate. But right now, during the implementation process, it is still illegal. Still, vendors cannot wait, still setting up and selling as they need to make a living.
Make the Road Nevada, along with key local authorities and community leaders, are coming together to put our heads together and discuss what makes the most sense in terms of protecting our street food vendors.
And portions of SB 92 will go into effect on October 15th. Make the Road Nevada says that their goal is to make sure that vendors are informed when licenses do become available and how they can apply. Fox 5 will, of course, also keep you updated. Reporting live tonight, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
And State Senator Fabian Dagnotte, the sponsor of the bill to implement a licensing process for street vendors in Nevada, told Fox 5 in part, as the sponsors of SB 92, we will work to ensure that street food vendors are protected and in compliance with the new law. We will provide updates in the coming weeks of engagement efforts and ways for individuals to participate and support our street food vendor community. You can read his full statement on our website, fox5vegas.com.